road trip as a whole, the Death Star has not been as functional lately. You guys remember when Cashman declared the Yankees were a fully functional Death Star a few years ago, or fully operational Death Star, I think is what he said. Well, we got this call that it stung to listen to. I listened to this, and sometimes someone puts something so simply that you haven't thought about in a while, or you hadn't thought about at all, and it just hits you right in the gut because you know it's true, right? So we got a call about Cashman, and I'm going to play it for you real quick, and then I'm going to talk about it.
Brian Cashman has finally completely screwed this franchise into a hole in the ground. Multiple players in their 30s with long-term contracts. Our best player, Judge, and our most clutch hitter, Stanton, can only DH. Plus, Cashman has ruined our history and culture in this franchise. Because of his arrogance, we have little or no relationship with Reggie Jackson, Don Mattingly, and Derek Jeter.
It was that last part that got to me. You know, every once in a while, you know, I'll get a chat, I'll get a comment, somebody, this podcast sucks. And I know it's not true. Like, it doesn't bother me because I know the podcast doesn't suck. Or, you know, somebody will say, oh, you know, you're an asshole or whatever. It doesn't bother me because I know I'm not. But when someone says something that's true, that stings, it gets to you. And it bothered me. You know, I grew up watching Jeter and Mattingly. I didn't grow up watching Reggie Jackson, but my brothers did. And it really does sting that these guys are not a bigger part of the organization. I remember growing up, you know, you'd have the Old Timers Day, and I figured this would be a good time to mention this because we do have Old Timers Day coming up, and you had Joe D out there, and you had Mickey Mantle and Whitey Ford. You had all of these legends that I didn't get to watch, but it was great to see them around, and then they would have them stop by the booth occasionally. I mean, you had ex-players involved in the coaching staff, right? You had Mel Stottlemyre. You had Willie Randolph. You know, these are guys that were on championship-winning teams, and they were involved in the coaching. Right now, the Yankees don't really have that. They don't have a lot of ties back to those championship years. You know, Boone is the manager, but he was on the team when they lost the World Series. He didn't win a World Series with the Yankees. Not as a player, definitely not as a manager. And, you know, I think about the fully operational Death Star comment, and to me, it's kind of funny because in the end, the Death Star blew up, right? The Death Star lost, right? And it makes me wonder if that's what really kind of needs to happen for this organization to get right, you know, to repair those relationships. Do we need a regime change in the organization? Right? I'm not talking about a soft rebuild where you go out and you get a couple of more free agents and you hope to patch over the problems that you have. I'm talking about burning the blueprint, bleaching the hard drives, starting from zero. I'm talking about a new GM. I'm talking about a new manager. I'm talking about new coaches. I'm talking about a lot of new players. I'm talking about getting rid of all of the scouts, all of them. Pro, amateur, international. If you've said the words in a Yankees boardroom, this guy's got some upside, get the fuck out. You're fired. I want new doctors diagnosing injuries. I want new trainers training and treating injuries. I want a brand new brand of MRI machine. Switch up the sod at Yankee Stadium. Do whatever you've got to do. Change the bat supplier. Get new sponsorship deals for the people who supply your gloves, your spikes. You know? No more WB Mason. No more staying at Hilton. It's back to roadside motels until this organization earns the right to have luxury again. We got too many captains on this island, to quote my favorite movie. We got too many cooks in the kitchen. I want these guys to feel uncomfortable. I want them to sense that military presence that George Steinbrenner used to have in spring training, that stressed the importance of fundamentals. Look, we won today. Great. But we went one for the road trip. And I don't think they're sweating the details enough. I sweat the details. Right? If I get a detail wrong, it bothers me. You can't get everything right in life. You're never going to get everything 100%. But I want guys who will do whatever it takes to win. I want an organization that will spend whatever it takes to win and do whatever it takes to get back on top, no matter what. I want them to literally change everything, because if they don't, I feel like nothing is going to change. Let's have some standards again. Shane Johnson says we have officially chosen a closer. Thank God. Let's take a few more voicemails.
It's just a reaction.